All right, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of the Proptech Genius Show. And today's genius is Rodrigo Torres. Hey, how are you?
Hey, Amy. Very well. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, of course. I mean, you are on the board. I'm kind of, I'm just kidding. But no, it's super awesome to have you. Yeah, I met Rodrigo, God, when did we meet? I don't know, a while back. And he has this really cool technology. He's a prop tech company you're in Guadalajara, right? You're not Mexico City, you're Guadalajara, right? You Guadalajara?
I'm
Yeah.
all around Mexico, to be honest.
Yeah, all around. So he's in Mexico, and I was like, oh man, we really need to have like somebody from Mexico to represent on the U.S. Council. And so I pinged Rodrigo, and he was like, oh yeah, sure. So it's awesome. So he's on our board and kind of helping us, and we also have folks from Canada on our board too. So we're North American. But helping because we want to our neighbors, we need to have good relations with our neighbors, and we need to do a lot of, commercialization cross border, that kind of thing. So it's great. But you have a really cool technology. It's always cool I always like talking to founders. So let's just chat. Let's get into it a little bit. You tell everybody kind of who you are, what you started, how you became a tech founder. You kind of have a similar story to me, but let's go. What you got?
Cool. Thank you, Amy. Well,
Mhm.
yeah. First of all, I'm a Mexican. I'm from Mexico, from Guadalajara. I've been in real estate for 15 years. I've owned a real estate agency. We do this brokerage. We help people sell their houses, or apartments, or lands, right? And my father started a real estate agency back in the 90s. So I've
Mm.
been always like very very well acquainted with the industry, right?
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
seen how things have been done before, and how people have been changing or adapting technology into making them now. But to be honest with you, it's like still one of the industries that has the least adoption of technology, at least in Mexico. I don't know
Oh,
how it
it's
is
in
in
the
the States.
US too. Don't worry. It's here too.
But we are so resilient to this, adopting these new technologies. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I think we realtors, we are afraid that technology is gonna, especially on the industry, is gonna take over, and people is gonna stop needing us.
Mhm.
But that's the main reason I decided to make Brixel,
Mhm.
because uh, these new technologies are all around the world. In all these industries, there are like technologies is industry agnostic. So people is expecting, once they grab their phone and they use Uber, or they use Didi or Rappi, or Airbnb, or any other company, or any other app. People, once a customer uses them, they're expecting them to go cross industries, right?
Right.
And nowadays, at least in the last 3 or 4 years, I've been realizing how the market is shifting away from realtors. Like,
Mhm.
the customers who once hired us, or saw a value proposition in the offer, in the services we offered to them by selling their houses, or getting listings. Now they're trying to do it like more and more themselves, by themselves.
Mhm. Yeah.
They're It's more difficult for realtors to get a listing, especially like after this COVID-19 pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So we've seen. I lived in London, like back in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, and I worked in hotels. I was specifically focused in revenue management.
Huh.
Okay,
Okay.
and with my background in revenue management, I understood one of the main focus points that revenue management has is this micro segmentation of the market, right? Trying to understand the different needs of the customer in their timeline, because you might have needs today that tomorrow you're gonna have different kind of behavior, right, as a customer.
Mhm.
So realtors, we are like the last industry that tries to understand that. We try to sell a product to a customer, which is like our services, no matter if they need it or not. No matter if you if you're maybe a photographer, you can do staging of your house, and we still try to sell it that to you, right? And charge
Mm-hmm.
you 3% commission, and for the buyer, 3% for the seller. And like maybe you already know who's gonna buy your house, and we still try to charge you the whole commission, right?
Right.
So that doesn't really make sense, you know. All industries along the way, we've seen how the focus, when once they focus on the need of the final customer, they change the industry. You can see that across industries, right? With
Right.
Netflix, with Spotify, with Uber, with Airbnb, like all these massive agencies, all these massive apps or companies. Once they shift the attention away from, let's say, the service provider, and they shift it towards the end customer, they
Mm-hmm.
change the market. And I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to understand how come this all these different needs uh, from owners haven't been met yet, and providing them with a platform that focuses on providing them what they need, just what they need, right? And charging them for that. Yeah, so we're lowering commissions from 6% all the way to 2.5, 3%, but we're not charging those commissions ourselves, right? We are affiliating with brokers, with notaries, so that they can help along the process. And we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to shift the rhetoric of real estate as an intermediary to real estate as a service, right?
Yes.
In which you're still charging a commission, right? But not the whole commission, and you're allowing the owner to have an alternative to real estate, the conventional real estate agencies, right? So
Yeah.
we're trying to make it faster, easier, data driven, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we take away control from realtors and giving to the owners, right? Because we know
True.
that's what they want.
Yeah. Well, no, that's true. They do. You must be like not all the realtors must be picketing outside of your house. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what? They really. I'll tell you something, and something that you probably don't have in the States, well, until recently. We in Mexico, we don't have this regulation for realtors. Realtors have been trying to implement it. I'm a realtor myself,
Right.
so I've been struggling with the fact that we don't have regulation in Mexico. So
Okay. All right.
instead of, let's say, 1,000 realtors, we have like 1,000 professionals and like 9,000 that are not professional, right? So
Okay.
those guys are not charging 6% or 5%. They're charging two. They're charging 2.5, right? You enter
Uh,
a market like Mexico, right? You
yeah.
enter a market like Mexico, and 85% of first-time sellers, they rather do it by themselves. They don't give you the listing, right, with a signed contract.
Exactly.
So the panorama is way different here. See, 85% of people, they're trying to do it themselves. Okay, so
Hmm.
those 85% of people are giving it to those 90% of unlisted realtors, right? So you
Yes,
enter,
true.
so you
Yeah.
enter a marketplace, and 90% of things you find in a marketplace are repeated, or they're not valid anymore, or they have
Hmm.
different prices. They don't have a control, basically, right?
Right.
So we have a really big problem. So what I'm trying to do is like bring a regulated alternative for
Right.
owners, instead
Okay.
of having the real problem is that the owner doesn't have an alternative to conventional realtors. That's the real problem. So if you
Yeah.
want to do it yourself, you're gonna give it to 20 people, right? And those, you're gonna give half of the commission to any of those who bring you the owner, sorry, the buyer. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you still paying a commission, you're just not paying full of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So understanding that, and also understanding the fact that even if I have a listed property,
Mm-hmm.
85% of the time I sell it and I share the commission with the realtor that brings me the buyer,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm most of the time I'm getting 50% of the full commission as a
Right.
realtor, like a real estate agency. And it's what happens in the States as well, right? You
Yeah.
share commission, you get the finder's fee, you get the seller's fee, and you at the end of the day you get like 3%, sometimes even less commission,
Right.
right? So what I'm doing with my platform with Brixel, I'm allowing agents to affiliate into Brixel to
Okay.
help the owner to do a transaction let's say by themselves, like in a direct manner,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm still charging between 2 and 3% commission, and that commission I'm paying for the broker or the realtor that helped the during the process, right? Validating the property,
Oh,
validating
okay. Okay.
and, and showing the property. So I'm charging 3%, but that 3% goes to the realtor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Brixel, how Brixel makes money, I charge a commission out of the commission, right? For
Oh,
using the
I
platform,
see. Okay. So
right?
you're
So
a fee or whatever. Okay. That makes sense.
it's
So, but
exactly
then what you're doing is you're actually, I mean, it's super cool. It's a good solution because now you're meeting the buyer or the customer at the point that they need you to meet them, right? So if they're like, hey, I need this, this is what I need, or my brother is telling me I need this, right? Or whatever it might
exactly
be, right? Yeah. Okay. But then which could turn into more over time, but they're going to lease, but because you're giving a way to take a step a toe in, then they're going to go, oh yeah, that was super cool. Oh wait, but what about this? And then he says super smart because then they're going to go, oh yeah, well, we really don't know what the hell we're doing. So can you please help us with the whole thing?
exactly. That's
Great.
the idea is that realtors can get a piece of the cake that out of those owners that currently are not hiring them, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So out of
totally.
10 people, let's say two of them are going to hire you and pay you full service. Those 8 people that are not hiring you, you can offer them an alternative for doing that themselves, and you still
Hmm.
get paid for
Hmm.
helping them during the process, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and it's going to be way easier. You're going to spend less time, right, as a realtor,
Right.
just helping them during the process in a through an app that you're not even going to have to go there and be there just
Yeah.
once for validating the property. So I'm making it easier for you guys, for us, for realtors to help that market, and in a very like in a not in a impositive but more in a propositive manner to
Right.
help relate the market where there's a free market, right? And
Yeah.
now in the States, maybe you guys are shifting away from having all this control over owners, right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
in recent events, right? And
We're
all this
we're 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 all figuring ourselves out over here after the NAR settlements, and then there's appeals, and then there's going back and forth. But I will say this whole process, to your point, is happening in the US. There's a change of how you do even real estate search. There's new technology coming out now where it's not property centric, it's buyer centric. And so the buyer goes, I want this, 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 and this, and this. And then the AI goes and finds it for them, right? Versus I have to look through a map and I have to do all this research as a buyer and I have to do all this stuff. And then I hone in on a neighborhood. And then in the neighborhood, I have to look for the whatever. And then, maybe the house I want is there, maybe it's not. But instead of doing that, just tell the machine, this is what I want. I want a dog park because I have dogs. I have good schools. I want this kind of house. It needs to be one story, whatever it is. And then let the AI search it for you, right? And do it that way. So, but then that leads into, okay, well, that gives you a whole lot of data that realtor would need eventually, right? They're going to want now you've got a really good educated home purchaser, a home buyer that knows, oh, this is the neighborhood I need to be in because it has the best schools and I want this kind of, so now they don't have to go searching 25 houses. They can go, I want these three. I want to look at these three. These are the only three I want to look at. It's just streamlining the process because you're taking all of that, guesswork out of it, right? So that's super cool. And then when you get to where you're at was, well, maybe they don't want a realtor. Maybe they just want to do it on their own, right? They do the search, they figure out the three process. They don't need anybody to hold their hand, but maybe they only want a piece, right? Like, hey, how do I negotiate the contract? Or how do I do this piece? Or I don't know how you broke it up, but that's super cool. And that could apply in the US for sure. I think at some point it's going to be, but there is still a lot of regulation right now. I mean, but there's a huge off market process that happens that realtors aren't even a part of. Like there's like wholesalers and there's a lot of real estate transactions that no realtor ever touches, right? Usually it's on the investor side, the real estate investor side. I haven't used a realtor in probably, I don't know, 10 years. I haven't needed to, but I was a real estate investor and I could do the process in my sleep, right? Because I was buying so many homes, right? But the newer buyer doesn't have that. So it's interesting. Yes, in the US, we're all messed up. Like, no, I'm just kidding. We're not, but we're changing. We're changing for sure. We're changing.
The only way for you to be able to make a startup that can scale is if you are thinking about ways to help every stakeholder in the ecosystem.
Yes.
So we're not
Yes.
trying to make our own agents. We're not trying to like charge less commission, but keep most of it ourselves. We're
Yeah.
trying to make this playground in which every stakeholder can see a way into making more money than they're doing now with less
Hmm.
time. Is
Yeah.
what happened with taxi drivers. When once Uber came in, like most of Ubers right now, they used to be taxi drivers. They're not anymore because they can take an Uber and work half the time and make twice the money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when Airbnb came and many realtors, that were managing properties, right? At first it was like a threat for them, right?
Hmm.
And maybe 1 out of 5 customers they had, they decided to just take the property away from them and start listing them by themselves in Airbnb.
Hmm.
But at first it was difficult and maybe it was a threat. But now these realtors that used to manage 5 properties, they can manage 20, right?
Right. Exactly.
So it's like whether you see it as a tool or whether you see it as a threat, right?
Yeah, but I think at some point they just have to get over themselves. It can't be a threat anymore. I mean, you can be a threat and you can take that position and then basically you'll be out of work because, you're going to have to embrace technology at some point, right? Even past technology, you're going to have to embrace AI at some point, right? And I don't know where y'all are at that stage of the game, but here in the US, that's the big thing, right? There's AI tools coming out now that if agents aren't using the AI, they will get replaced by an agent who is, right? And and it might be
They,
more prevalent
yeah,
here, but yeah, it'd be
they
interesting
will
to what's
be
happening here.
replaced by the customer who is using AI. They're both going to be replaced by the customer who's using AI. That's the
Exactly.
thing.
That is true. That is very, very true. They are. Yeah, no, I feel you. And as long as the AI has got good data and telling them the right things, you know, it's not hallucinating and telling them make up stuff, then we'll be okay.
Sure, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to use the current ecosystem, to for them to use to adopt the technology to have a
Right.
benefit. And once they use them, it's like I'm leveraging with it, right, to
Right.
grow. So
Right.
I'd rather get $1 per transaction and make a billion transactions,
I
right,
feel you.
than make $1 billion for one transaction and just end of my business.
Yeah. No, no, no. I got you. I got you for sure. What is the real estate market like in Mexico? What's happening now?
Well, Mexico is at the first 3 years of a 15-year um, economic bonus. Like as a country. So for the next 12 years, everything seems to be positive, right? In a macro level,
Macro
right?
level.
Most
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
60, 65, 70% of the population is going to be economic active. So we have a growth, right?
Okay.
So like literally, no matter what president we have, no matter what party we have, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be with
Yeah.
this era that we see it like it's a golden era, right? And many countries have gone through that era along the
Right.
way.
Right.
Now it's time for Mexico, and everyone see it in a big scale. You see it in a positive way,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah.
Obviously,
I
the things that happened, with China, between states and China, has created an opportunity for Mexico to
mhm.
thrive, right? To
Yeah.
this whole near storing is going on, and it's been
Yeah.
positive. But I mean, in a real estate perspective, many people are talking about the bubble, a bubble of real estate. Prices are going through the ceiling and everything, but it's not a bubble,
Mm.
because because a bubble is something you can burst anytime. That's happening, or that's sustained
Yep.
in an external factor other than real demand, right? So people,
Right.
I mean, it's not easy to get a mortgage in Mexico. It's not easy. Like it's quite hard. Like you need to first of all, the rates are 9, 10, 11%. Like that's a normal they've
Wow.
always been, right? For
Okay.
at least for the last
Well, the
7, 8 years.
US is
They
almost
they
there.
dropped.
The US is almost there. We're
Exactly,
at seven and a
exactly.
half.
You guys, yeah, you guys complain to 7. We have like 11, 12, 13%,
Wow.
right? So it's
Yeah.
not. And in order to get a mortgage, you need to prove the bank that your income is like 3 times more than
Hmm.
the monthly payment that you're
Right.
going to be having, right? And the
Right.
total amount of monthly payments you have. So it's not easy to get a mortgage. So we're not selling properties, and the prices are not going through the roof
Okay.
because of the ease of attaining a mortgage, right? So well, that's one thing.
Okay.
And people is a lot of people is buying properties cash as well. So
Okay.
if there's the cash, I mean, the only thing that might create this bubble is all the extra amount of cash that's being printed all around the world, right?
Hmm.
That's the only thing that
Yeah.
might create a bubble. But that's like a bubble everywhere, right?
Yes. No,
So
no, I
Jesus,
feel you.
our growth depends mainly in our economic growth as well, and in the growth population that we have. So I see it well. Many cities, Monterrey, Mexico City, Guadalajara, are thriving. Los Cabos, Tulum is just a phenomenon, right?
Yeah, I
So
know. I know.
I
It's
mean,
yeah.
everything's going well, to be honest. Like everything points that this is gonna be next 3, 4, 5 years are gonna be great, at least for us to grow our startup here in Mexico, and why not? Maybe soon coming to States to.
Yes. Come on. That'd be great. No, 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 I feel you. Yeah, no, I think, well, I think I told you, I grew up on the border of Texas. So I grew up in McAllen, Texas is where I grew up. And so I was always, I mean, Mexico it was always prevalent, what a lot of people talked about. A lot of folks from Mexico would come to McAllen, where I grew up, and they would go shopping, right? And the reason why La Plaza Mall exists today is because of all the Mexican shoppers that come to La Plaza Mall to go shopping. True.
Yeah,
And it's like the best performing mall in the United States, besides like the Mall of America. But yeah, no, and so we had very much that I would, I was going across the border. I mean, like since I was a kid, we would go Christmas shopping in Progreso and Reynosa and go to Matamoros, and this is what we would do. And it was interesting because I always thought that Mexico, and it still does. Mexico is like just sitting there waiting to be a superpower. Like you got all this oil and gas, you got all this other stuff, and it's just like, yeah, it's just like we have to talk about it. I mean, I talk with my Brazilian friends too. There's just a lot of corruption, and I feel awful because I mean Mexico could just, if it got out of its own damn way, would just blow up. I mean, it's insane the amount of resources y'all have there. And and
yeah,
you've been doing manufacturing forever. I mean, those maquiladoras on the border, like they've been like you've been doing manufacturing for a long time. So you have the ability to do really groovy things. So anyway, yeah, so it's about time. Like, come on, y'all. No. No,
yeah,
it's really, really good. No, I see Mexico as a really cool, a lot of even the American companies are already kind of there, but even a lot of Latin America, like a lot of people are taking a good hard look at it, right? From Brazil to Chile to everybody, South America, Central America, all over the place. As obviously because the population's growing. Y'all are having more babies than we're having. I don't know what's up with us in the US. We're just not making babies. I don't understand what that's all about, but yeah, y'all are making tons of babies. So we don't have that population growth that y'all are having.
yeah. So, well, that's something you need to take care of, because otherwise, in 10, 20, 30 years time, you're gonna be in serious problems. So
I
maybe you should
know. We
maybe you
need
should let more Mexicans in.
yeah, we need to like I don't know if it's yeah, I know I feel you, but yeah, no, we need to. We need all those young kids who don't want to have children to start having children. Like there's this whole movement. Like I talked to like 30-year-olds. They're like, no, I'm good. I don't want a kid. I'm like, no, we need you to have children. Like,
Like,
but it's interesting for sure. So what else is happening in as far as I mean, we'll skip the politics, but as far as Mexico, I mean, let's talk about Mexico City a little bit. I mean, the water problems, is that getting any better? I mean, that affects real estate too. As the water shortages, is that still a big thing?
uh, well, maybe a couple of weeks a year, yes. Especially, but Mexico City doesn't have much of the problem. Uh, Guadalajara also doesn't have. I mean, 3 years ago we had a problem for like a week,
Mm-hmm.
but the serious problem is like in up north, like in Monterrey, right? They've been
Oh.
problems like big time. I
So
don't know
all
what.
the news stories about Mexico City's running out of water, and that's just like a normal occurrence. It happens every time, every year, and just people started paying attention to it, or what?
Yeah, it happens like once a week per year,
Oh,
and they do it like on purpose. They close it, and they just it's just a normal procedure, right? Normal
oh,
standard
okay. All
operational
right.
procedure, of
That's
Mexico.
funny. So the call like the sky is falling, Mexico City's running out of water. That's not real. That's fake news.
No, probably there's been shortages because of close by cities, that they just
Yeah.
close the water flow, right,
Hmm.
for politic reasons, right?
Yeah.
No, I think everything is going well with that, at least in Mexico City. Like real problem with water happens up north,
Oh,
right?
so it's really in Monterey. Yeah, I remember going to Monterey when I was a kid. Yeah. I mean, well, is it because of the mountains? I mean, Mexico City's in the mountains too, but is it because of the mountains or is it, I mean,
No,
there,
Mexico City was built on top of a lake. Remember that? So yeah,
mm,
I mean they have water. Like deep down, they have wells. They have water. They do have water, right? It's
oh,
been growing a lot. So obviously they grew the city in towards places that didn't have any water, right? So
yeah,
making like taking water there, right, is very costly. Probably
yeah,
that's why. Probably they're cutting water in certain places that they grew them without any permit, right? So
yeah,
taking services all the way to those places is quite expensive. So
yeah.
probably there's something about that there, but it's not like a huge problem that you hear about in Mexican news. You
Oh,
know,
yeah. So
probably.
it's only in the US news because we're like freaking out that Mexico City's running out of water.
I
Yeah.
mean, when you come to Mexico City, you hear news about Jalisco, which is like where I'm from, Guadalajara,
Uh-huh.
uh, and you hear like there's a chaos over there with narco traffic and everyone's killing each other, and it's not truth. Like it's like politic wars. They don't
Oh,
people to come to Guadalajara, invest there, or move there, or probably they're afraid, that they
that's
find that
crazy.
a cooler city than theirs. But
That's
no,
okay.
and you hear in Guadalajara, you hear all these bad things about Mexico City, and it's not truth, you know.
Uh, well, everybody's got their thing.
Yeah, no,
Everybody's-
everything's well, to be honest. Real estate wise is going well. Yeah, I mean politics and all that. I don't want to go into that, but it's not like
Yeah, we can skip it.
favoring the economy. This
Hmm.
party that won the elections. Like
Yep.
it's not. Not. I mean, most entrepreneurs or businessmen, they're not very happy with the results.
No.
But let's see how it goes. I don't think it's
Yeah.
gonna do anything stupid. That's gonna
Yeah.
push us away from doing business and generating revenue. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, we're not really happy with our two candidates either. So, there is that. So we all have our political problems.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and so I don't get me started on that. I'm like, yeah, but we're like, but it's the same. It's so if we talk about real estate, but it is of something you have to deal with, right? Every business person has to bob and weave around whatever government's throwing at you. And so I know you have a little less regulation than the US, but I'm still you're beholden to the economy and how they try to screw it up or not screw it up or do something with it. So do you see that and maybe it's not, but has there been any rumblings or talking about creating some more regulation around real estate in Mexico? Have you heard about any of that at or no?
Well, in regards to regulating like the ecosystem and the realtors and
Yeah.
agencies and all that,
Yeah.
they've been trying to do so like since 1990, and they haven't been able to do so. I mean, we live in a free market, so everyone's
Yeah.
able to sell their properties like by themselves.
Yeah.
There's regulations in regards to. I mean, they're trying to make like to this. The parties say a lot of things in order to get votes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the party that won said that they were gonna lower the rentals, right? Just
Mm.
as also there was like this proposition states, no, that
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
rent
Yeah. Yeah.
going 5% per year or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're capping the rent growth. Yeah. No, I feel you. Yeah.
From the saying to the making, sometimes it's 10, 20, 30 years, so maybe it never happens, right?
Yeah.
So we have those things, but not really any particular regulation towards real estate.
Yeah.
Uh, from politics, no, not really, to be honest.
Yeah.
Other
Interesting.
things went well. I mean, yes, definitely we're less regulated than states, but I mean, everyone, you have to do with what you have, like
Yeah.
play. I mean, play your best cards, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you
No,
need to
that's
adapt,
true. That's true.
right? You need to adapt, and sometimes these not very easy situations help you
Hmm.
be more, towards innovation, right?
No, yeah, no, no, for sure. Because I mean, if you're less regulated, then you have less barriers and you can innovate faster. So, does there?
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's still title, right? You go through a title process in Mexico, right? So
Have
then,
notary titles,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. So that could be something really cool where blockchain could come in. Y'all would have the ability to do blockchain a lot faster than we could because we're so regulated around title and the signatures and this, that, and the other. I don't know, maybe. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I mean,
Huh.
we're gonna by the end of October, we're gonna be backing all of our transactions with in the blockchain, right?
Oh, you
Uh,
are. Oh,
yeah, we're
hey.
gonna back it up like an extra layer of security, but we
Yeah.
still have to do the physical transaction with the
Uh-huh.
notary by signing the title deed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're still doing that. We're integrating notaries just for the sake of all the parts to be able to have easier communication with notaries and notaries with
Yeah.
them because the notary process here, I mean, I've done transactions with notaries in the States, takes you maybe 2 3 days. I mean, it's very very easy, and in Mexico it takes you like a month. So we
Oh no.
we're shortening that side. I mean, if you have the contacts, and like me as a real estate agency, I already have
Yeah.
notaries in which I just call directly to the notary, right? Not any of the assistant or anything, and we can do that transaction also like in 3 or 4 days. But you need to have like contacts, right? It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like SOP
Yeah.
of any real estate transaction, and we're
Right.
trying to shorten the cycle for owners and buyers to interact with notaries and make a real estate transaction in less than 10 days, right?
Yeah.
Without having to go prior to the signature to the notary, which is something that you have to do now. You need to go there to show the documents, to show your ID. Like
Yeah.
it's a pain, to be honest. And
Yeah.
and now to the
Oh,
platform, the only thing you're gonna have to do is just go one time, maybe 20 30 minutes, and then you're there, right?
yeah. So it's all about identity protection and fraud, right? They're trying to reduce risk and fraud. So
Yeah,
yeah, so I mean there's way I mean you could do that outside, right? Where people can verify their identity like you would do at the airport with TSA. You could do that and then maybe that might streamline those transactions too, where people already have their verified ID. So then they can sign online, right? Because they're
yeah.
verified, but it's all cybersecurity related. The more stuff you do where it's make it easier for people to hack, they're gonna, you know,
Yeah,
it's
one
interesting.
layer of security we embedded into our platform is we integrated Encode, right? So we have biometrics, we have also facial recognition and
Yeah.
recognition of fake documents and all that. So we're trying to go there. Like we
Yeah.
integrate like 6 different apps, into ours. So
Hmm.
so well, yeah. So well, Amy, thank you very much, for inviting me.
Oh, for sure. No, this has been awesome. It's been a super cool conversation for sure.
We're going out to market maybe in about 20 days. So I'll send you the beta test for you
Oh
to try it out.
yeah. Yeah, no,
So,
I'd love to try that out. That would be awesome. Yeah. And then I know yeah, I mean I know realtors here that, I'll hook you up with my friend Sally and she'll test it out too. That'd be awesome. No, that's super cool. Yes,
well,
that's really
we keep in touch. All right. Thank you very much for inviting me, and we're in touch. And let me know what can I help with. From
yeah. Yeah, for sure. So if somebody would like to get a hold of you, for, because they want to reach out to you and they watched our
I'm
show because I'm super awesome, how could they get a hold of you?
I'm in LinkedIn but just by Rodrigo Torres, and you write Brixel, and I'm the
Mm,
one responding now. And we're a seven people team, right? There are 6 developers and me. So if
that's
you
awesome.
write an email to operations@brixel.com or CEO@brixel.com or Rodrigo@brixel.com, all emails come to my phone. So
You get them
just
all. You
for the
get
next maybe six,
yeah,
7 months. So it's
yeah,
easy to get hold of me.
that's awesome. Well, it's been such a cool conversation. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Amy. Have a good day. Take care.
You too. Bye.